You're listening to Between Us, a space made for women with big ambition and busy lives to match.
It's for brilliant, capable women holding everything together and secretly wondering if they're the only ones facing these challenges and asking themselves these questions.
We're Jen and Alexis, co-founders of Her Tribe, and each episode we're bringing you the questions that keep coming up in our coaching or training rooms.
Or sometimes just in the WhatsApp group chat.
But we're not here to fix.
We're here to get curious.
Let's get to it then.
Lex,
hello. Let's
start with our very first question.
This is very exciting.
It is. So, what's our question?
Oh God, I've got to say the questions. Well, so we've got two questions today. Normally we're only going to have one, but today we've got two, which is, who are we?
Easy.
Not in the existential sense, but who are we?
Yeah.
And why are we doing this?
Okay.
Those are our two questions. So, are you answering? Are you going to start off?
Well, so I'm gonna put that question to you of why are we doing this, because you are the one who has been obsessed with doing a podcast.
Yeah. I have wanted to do a podcast for about 3 years.
Yeah. So tell us.
The reason why I wanted to do a podcast is because I really struggle to get people to understand the power of coaching and the work that I do. And it's not until you're actually in the space having the conversation that people get it. In fact, I was having a conversation last week with somebody about this who said the impact that I'd had during the coaching. I was like, how do I get that across in the written word? So I think the best way to do that is by people getting to know me, you, and exploring, what it might sound like. So that's why. But I never wanted to do it by myself, because I think it's just a bit boring.
No shade to anybody that does a podcast.
Sorry, no, you're right. Whoops. But for me, it's about having someone that you can bounce off and a bit of energy.
So let's go back then and where we first started.
Yeah. What you mean, when we first met?
Yeah, so we had a couple of chats on LinkedIn, didn't we? Like a lot of people.
Well, I actually think we met at an event.
It was at the BFA
when you
conference,
were up for an award, and I remember thinking, she's so cool, that girl.
Nice.
Who's that girl? She's so cool. And I think it was the time when you talked about how nervous you'd put something on LinkedIn about how the previous year you'd been sitting in the toilets crying.
Well, I think actually, full disclosure, I was actually sat with a breast pump.
That'd be the one. And that really landed with me.
Yeah, I was sat there. I don't think I put that on LinkedIn though. I think I mellowed that bit out. But I was sat there with a breast pump because my little girl was only about 5 months old when I was at the BFA conference. So I just sat for half an hour in a toilet cubicle and thought, what am I doing?
Yeah. And I remember you sharing that story, maybe with more detail once we got to know each other. And anyway, I digress.
Yeah.
We're going to need to keep pulling ourselves back so that we don't digress. Otherwise, these episodes are going to be about
How long have we got? Okay.
So I think we met then. So I kind of knew who you were. And then we'd connected on LinkedIn, as you do. And then we'd arranged to meet, and for whatever reasons, we'd cancelled a couple of times. And then finally, we arranged to meet in London.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then
the trains got cancelled, do you remember?
Trains got cancelled. I had a nursery drop-off, a dog drop-off to do. So we ended up driving halfway between us, didn't we? So we met, got on really well. I think we were there for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then I texted you that night or the day after.
Yeah, literally very quickly, and said, how do you feel about doing a retreat? And I was like, it's really weird because even with the podcast, it's like I've got these things in my head and then you verbalise them and I'm like, I've been thinking about doing that for ages. So when you said about the retreat, I was just, I'm in, 100%, I'm there.
So let's talk a bit about Her Tribe then.
Okay.
So Her Tribe started off with a retreat.
Yes.
So let's talk a bit about Her Tribe. In your words, what is Her Tribe?
Well, I think Her Tribe started as a retreat, but it's become a lot more than that. In my words, what is Her Tribe? Her Tribe is a space for professional women who are carrying a lot, personally and professionally. A space for women who understand each other, who understand the challenges, who on the surface might look like they've got it all together. And inside, maybe there's some self-doubt creeping in, or maybe they're just struggling with the volume of life and work.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to be chatting about, isn't it? The questions that keep coming up. So for me, Her Tribe is there because actually it can feel quite a lonely space, I think, when you're someone who is personally having to carry quite a lot, but also you're ambitious with your career and you want to have that kind of drive and you have big ambitions that you want to achieve, actually when you've got both of those juggles, it can be really tricky, can't it? And I think we saw that within the first 2 weeks of starting Her Tribe, literally. So we started it because we wanted people to not feel alone, right, in their stage of life personally, but also their career. And then 2-3 weeks in,
because I think that we first talked about properly Her Tribe beginning of April.
Yeah.
And then what happened to you? What happened in your life?
So at that very same time, my marriage completely ended, completely out of the blue. So I think during the time that we were talking about that, I was also looking at couple counselling, which, spoiler alert, did not work. So started going through divorce custody battles.
Yeah. And still ongoing.
And still, yeah.
Whilst running a business and being mum to a toddler, you're kind of underselling the amount, the volume of what was going on for you.
And coping with the dad dying.
Yeah. So I think that you were at a stage in your life where there was just a lot of life.
A lot of life.
A lot of life happening, stuff happening.
Yeah.
And then same for me, my husband got diagnosed with cancer at the end of April last year.
Yeah.
Which brought a lot of stuff up from having lost my brother-in-law to cancer 2 years previously. And just dealing with everything that falls out from that, really.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, what happened was something that we were really excited about and thought, oh God, we really are passionate about this, suddenly became even more important. That for me, that it did.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We had a choice, didn't we? We definitely could have sat there and thought, do you know what? Actually, life is lifing a little bit too much. This probably isn't the right time. But I think because of what we were doing and why we wanted to do it, if anything, it just absolutely cemented exactly what it was.
Can you hear my stomach rumbling?
I don't think the microphone's that.
Oh no, but I'm really conscious of it. It's because you've just fed me those cookies.
Yeah, that's
I arrive here and there's freshly baked cookies. Anyway, sorry, my brain's going to be
stuck on cookies. So I think for us, it fully cemented everything, didn't it? Because we could have paused and just focused on those different things. But we've both got that real hunger to do the things that we want to do. And I think not let whatever is going on in life impact everything else. Like, I think it's almost sometimes a little bit about that thing of, well, actually, what thing can I still do? What thing can I control for myself? Not in a control way, but what can I do?
Yeah. So I'm just conscious that we've gone straight into talking about Her Tribe. We've not actually even introduced ourselves, making an assumption that everyone's going to know who we are and what our background is. So how do we do that without giving a life history or, a CV? Because that's clearly people, our listeners are not going to be interested in that.
Probably
But what do you really want people to know about you?
About me, okay. So I think I've given some of the highlights there. I never expected to be a single mum divorced at the age of 32, but there we are. I am really passionate about what I do. So I've worked in franchising for over a decade. Like most people, fell into it out of uni and never left. I've always done marketing roles generally. And then it was while I was at the BFA during COVID that spoke to loads of brands that didn't know how to support their franchisees anymore necessarily with the kind of personal issues. I have OCD, so I know just how impactful it can be. And I think I also know how impactful the tools can be. So 10 years ago, I was at times on beta blockers for my heart rate, from anxiety. And now I stand up on stage and talk about it. And I'm, far from a finished product, but I think I to myself am proof that working on mental fitness works.
Yeah.
That's me, really, I think.
And how much do you embed your own techniques into your everyday life now?
Well, I think that could be a whole other episode. There's a lot of times that I haven't necessarily done it, but I would say day to day, it's my priority. is looking after mental fitness.
I'm not sure you even realise, but I think you do it quite a lot. Like you'll say to me, I went out for a walk and I was looking at what I was grateful for, and you've started prioritising your health with your running, and you eat well.
True.
And so I think you probably do it without realising how much you're doing it.
Maybe.
You journal quite a lot as well, don't you? Like gratitude.
Yeah. I think for me it's been a process of finding out the stuff that I actually do.
Yeah.
You know, that you'll actually stick with.
Yeah.
Thinking about what actually works for you. And you're right, probably I think it's become a natural, that's what I do as part of my day to day. I think because there is so much, you know, also at the moment dealing with anticipatory grief for my dad, if I don't do those things, there's no way on earth I can do the normal day to day, let alone grow my business and show up properly for Ivy. What about you? How can we get to know you?
How can you get to know me? Well, that's a different question.
Well, that's true. We'll do that over these.
That will take some time.
Yeah, okay. So give us the summary notes.
Then. Okay, I'll give you the summary notes without boring you, because I'm obviously a bit older than you, so I've got longer to blah on about, but I'm not going to. So basically, I started my career in learning and development 25 years ago, when I attended a leadership course as a delegate and thought, oh my God, this is ace. You can actually stand up in front of people and talk to them about leadership. So that's what I pursued. And I got very interested in coaching and studied for my first coaching qualification when I was 26. And then I had my daughter, who's now 21, that gives my age away, and decided I didn't want to work for anyone anymore. And that's when I bought my first franchise. And my first franchise was in weight loss coaching. So keeping the coaching element was very much focused around transactional analysis and cognitive behavioural therapy. Yeah. And I did that for 8 years. And then, long story short, set up another franchise, did some freelancing and some coaching. And then my husband had bought another franchise, and I eventually joined him in that business. And it's interesting, we've never had this conversation actually, but COVID was a bit of a turning point for me as well, because at that time, I was running a care business, which was obviously really difficult during that challenging time.
Can't imagine.
And I recognised that a lot of other franchisees were struggling. So I offered to put on coaching, group coaching. I don't think I've ever told you that.
No, you haven't. No.
So I basically contacted the franchisor and said, look, I think people are struggling. Would you like me to run some group coaching sessions? Which I did, to just hold space for people to come together and chat, just because that's what I love to do.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment where maybe it sparked a bit of kind of like, actually, I miss this work.
Yeah.
And this is really what I want to do.
Because you do it so naturally. Like, even when we have a conversation, you do it, don't you? You do, it's just part of.
I think it's just part of how I interact with people. I just love it. I'm a curious person. I love asking questions, and I genuinely want to help people feel better about themselves, about life. So that kind of, I think, was a point where I thought, okay, I've really missed this work. And then some franchisees asked me to start running some workshops, some leadership workshops for them. So I started doing a little bit of that on the side. And I started doing a bit of project work for the franchisor. So slowly I realised that I wanted to go back to that. And then eventually we sold our business, which was nearly 3 years ago now. Can you believe it?
Wow, God.
And I've set up my own coaching business, but specialising at the moment in the franchise sector. So I'm coaching franchise leaders. And I love it.
And what I think is interesting, right, is that I have asked who you are, and what you've done is given me your whole work history.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I think it's so wrapped up in who I am.
Yeah, and it is part, because like you say, you are a coach. That's not just your job. That is you. But I think that's going to be one of the things for us over this is getting to know you as well within these questions, because that's a whole nother part.
Do you know what's really interesting is you say that? I wonder how many other women out there can resonate with that their identity is so wrapped up in their work or who they are at work, that actually it's not always easy to separate out who am I as a wife, a mum, a friend, versus who am I in a work environment, because they get so merged together or blended. You kind of, not that you lose yourself, because I don't feel like I've lost myself along the way, but it's just like you've got an identity that then doesn't always shift.
I think that's the thing. So I was speaking with a friend after an event last week. So I did a talk for Barclays all about women in franchising, which was great, went really well, but I had a lot of things to navigate logistically. So sorting out childcare for my daughter, taking her there because it was on a different day, doing this talk, being in London, feeling like a corporate woman, you know, like getting on the tubes and navigating that kind of thing. It's not something I normally do as a little country mouse. And then came home and immediately like opened the door at my parents' house and hear, "Mummy, that's my mummy." And then you're straight away into your mum life. And actually during the day you're stood up on stage talking about neuroscience behind behaviour, and people are talking to you about you know, future work and making those kind of connections, and you're showing up very much professionally for your business and what you're doing, your client. And then straight away, as soon as you come home, you're looking at drawings of, I don't know, paintings and all of that kind of stuff, and suddenly you're on mum mode doing bed and bath. And I was saying to this friend that sometimes I feel like I'm leading a double life. Sometimes a triple life, dependent on what day of the week it is as well.
So I think that as we go through some of the episodes, you've just touched on so many topics that I think we can explore.
Yeah.
And the temptation for me, I can't even, one of the things you're going to have to catch me on is if you feel me go into coach mode, you're going to need to say, Lex, stop coaching me, right?
Yeah,
because right now there's about 3 questions in my head that I would ask you.
Each an episode.
So I think that, but you've some themes that are coming out there is, who am I as a mum? Who am I as a corporate woman?
Yeah.
Leading a double life. Am I authentic?
Yeah, and I think especially when
how do I put myself out there?
Yeah, and like when you go through a different life transition as well, you know, now it's like, it was also that identity of a wife, and now it's even that is kind of it's finding these new parts of you and finding where they can all actually sit together. You know, like a lot of our listeners are not necessarily going to be in that same situation. It may well be that they're looking after their parents and they have lots of different caring roles, and so I think actually whatever the caring role is, the underlying issue of how do they all fit together and how do you not feel that constant tug of what's prioritizing and the guilt, I think is going to be there for everybody.
I agree, and I think that I share something else, which I'm sure I have told you before, but I think for the purpose of this conversation, it's really relevant. Is that when I sold my franchise business and I was starting a coaching practice, I ummed and ahed quite a lot about what I was going to specialise in.
Yeah.
And one of the things I really wanted to specialise in was burnout in women. Mm-hmm. And I to the point that I had a company name. You know, I've still got documents with programs that I've written. And for this very reason is that I truly believe, and this is not to diss men at all, but I genuinely believe that women have a different life role and different set of responsibilities than men when it comes to caring for other people, plus work. You know, as much as we might want to say that we're in an equal society, we're not.
Yeah.
We're just not.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. You know, I'd like it to be different, but I think it's then having a level of acceptance that these are the challenges that it is when you are a woman, when you're trying to be all things to all people and balance all of that is the challenge. So I really it's something I'm really passionate. And one of the reasons I'm passionate about it is because I think I was very close to burnout in 2021.
Yeah.
I'd recognised in myself that I was worrying about myself. I was drinking too much. You know, I was not in a good headspace at all. But on the surface, people would not have known that because I wanted to look like I had it all together. Yeah. And I think that what I wanted to do was create a space where women like me could come and say, things are tough. You know, I'm struggling with all of these roles that I'm having to play. Yeah. Then I decided I was going to specialise in the franchising sector because that's what I know and I'm passionate about as well. So Her Tribe then came along and kind of was like, brought that energy back to the table, which is, I would like, it doesn't matter what age you are, we're in different life stages.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's about the challenges that you are bringing to life in your role as a woman, and how you can then have a space where you can explore that, download it, chat about it, laugh about it, cry about it, and feel safe to do that.
And just not feel alone, because I think, so we did a focus group, didn't we? So we had this idea and then we were like, right, we need to actually check if we're just Zulu or other people actually think this is good. And when we had this focus group, we purposely invited people from different walks of life, different stages of life. And what was amazing, I think, is you could almost feel everybody like just exhale.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this isn't this. It just, even in the focus group, not even on our retreat. We'll talk about that another day. But I think even in that focus group, it was like, oh yeah, I had that. Yeah, I agree. And it was just the constant kind of feeling of you're not alone. And I think it's more than just not feeling alone. It's feeling like you can be held as well by someone else that may well not be experiencing the same issue, but that just gets it. Like, I think that's been a theme throughout our whole thing with all of this, with Her Tribe, hasn't it? It's been actually not having to explain yourself.
Yeah, and no judgment.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing.
And they go hand in hand, I think,
100%,
don't they? Like, if someone just gets it, you know, they get that you want to be that role to your parents or to your kids or to your partner, but they also get that you equally want something for yourself. You want that career, and because it, more than one thing can fill you up, right? More than one thing can make you feel alive. And I think it's being able to have that balance of not having to drop things, but also having that self-awareness. I think that's been the crucial thing, because you asked me earlier, do I live what I do? And I think for the past year, for me, it's very much been survival mode, because, you know, I've had to. A 2-year-old doesn't understand what's happening. Ultimately, she wants to get up and dance in her bedroom, so that's what you have to do. And us doing what we did with Her Tribe was a massive kind of lifeline for that. But I also ended up sleeping for 17 hours. Do you remember missing the whole BFA conference because I'd gotten so sick?
Yeah.
Ignoring that, even talking to you about possibly coming to the evening.
I know. Nuts.
Yeah.
No, you messaged me that morning saying, oh, I'm going to go to sleep now. Maybe if I feel better, I'll come tonight. And I was like,
yeah.
What
and then I ended up waking up the next day and missing an entire day of my life. And then a few weeks later, getting hospitalised for tonsillitis because I just didn't listen. And I think that's what we do sometimes, when even I would say I'm quite a self-aware person, but it catches you.
Yeah.
And I think that's some of the really interesting things that we've talked about in coaching, your blind spots, and actually how, even with the best will in the world and the knowledge, you don't always show up for yourself. So having people that can spot that and catch that and question you in that kind of, in that supportive way, I think it's been priceless.
So without wanting to talk too much about Her Tribe, because I think we probably will talk about the retreat another day, because I think that would be a good thing. In terms of this podcast, let's talk about why somebody might want to listen to this podcast and what they can expect to get from it.
Yeah, so I think we both do coaching, training, all of those kind of different aspects within both of our businesses. And so often we'll have key questions that keep coming up, won't we? Key themes from different people, but they're still the same underlying topics, same questions. And even amongst ourselves, amongst our WhatsApp group chats, we'll have these questions that we want to share, don't we? We want to dig into that and be a bit curious. Like, we're not always going to have the answers to them, but we can hopefully give some nuggets away while we try and make sense of some of the questions.
Yeah, I'd really agree. And I think that for me, I do quite a lot of analysis from my coaching sessions. For not just for my clients, but also for myself and my professional development. And one of the things that's come through, and I've just analysed 2025, and it was a really interesting piece of work where I just went through all of the coaching sessions and analysed the key themes that are coming out. And then I did pull out the ones that are female coachees, because I do coach men and women. And when I tell you, overwhelmingly, there were maybe 10, maximum 12 themes that come up over and over and over and over again. And often I will come off of, I'll do a week of coaching and I might have coached 15 people that week. And I think, wow, of those, maybe a third have brought the same thing to coaching. Obviously, there are nuances and examples, but the core issue or the core challenge that's in their head. And so I think when we were talking about it, it was like, wouldn't it be great for it to be a space where people could listen in, where we can ask a question, people can listen in and think, yeah, I really resonate with that. And then we give some little tips and hints along the way of things for maybe people to consider or explore. My dream is I kind of want it to be a space that either you can listen to whilst you're walking your dog, or as you're driving somewhere where you can think, well, yeah, I'm going to listen to Jen and Alexis because that might just inspire me or help me just to give that personal reflection. Because the other thing that I know we both hear a lot is people don't often give themselves space to sit and reflect and explore stuff. So how do you think that the podcast might help people to give themselves that self-reflection space?
Well, I think because so much of, as we've highlighted, they will be relatable questions, I think, for most people, because it's probably one that you've asked yourself at some point, or someone has asked you. So I think hopefully it's an opportunity, like what happens with group coaching. We might ask each other a question, and we're naturally selfish beings, right? So we naturally ask ourselves the question as well as you're listening. So I think it will automatically provide that space to think about your own situation. But I think for me, it's also so important that we have fun along the way. Yeah. You know, like I think
there might be a few bleepers. Bleepers? What's it called? Bloopers. We already had some when we were recording the outro and intro.
Yeah, we won't tell you the amount of times the F drum. So I hope we have fun, because it doesn't have to be all doom and gloom and serious. Like sometimes these things, when you have a really intense coaching session, you can feel exhausted, right? Can't you? I
was about to say I do sometimes, especially if I've had 5 in a day.
Yeah, but I think we can have fun with it, and I think that's why we want to invite everyone to join us. You know, that's why we've got Between Us, because
we were going to ask you about this, because how much fun did we have trying to come up with a name for the podcast?
Yeah, it was really good, and I think it's that balance, isn't it, of really thinking about the behaviours and why these things happen, why we ask ourselves these questions, but also having a bit of warmth and fun along the way. Yeah.
And for me, I remember when we first spoke about it a few weeks ago, because it's not been long, has it? You know, in true Jen and Alexis style, we've made this happen pretty quick. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, I'll come record next week. The Between Us thing is because I really want it to feel like someone's listening into a conversation between friends. Like almost kind of like, come in, like we're going to have a chat, and you know, this is between us, but obviously it's being recorded, but you can almost imagine yourself having that conversation with the friends.
Yeah, pull up a chair. I'll try and make my coffee machine work again and not swear at it.
But you did make me cookies, home-baked cookies. I was very impressed by that.
I can't promise them audibly, but...
No, but they were nice.
So, each episode we are going to finish with something that we have either learned this week or something that we've done for our own well-being, our own development. So I'm going to put it to you this week with one that is often seen as a very wishy-washy, soft and fluffy thing, but is gratitude. Because I feel really thankful to be able to do this podcast at all, but especially with you. And so let's end on that one. So gratitude, we'll maybe go into the neuroscience behind it at some point, because I geek out on that. We won't do it today, but there is a whole kind of neuroscience element behind why gratitude works. It's not just this kind of woke 2020 thing. So give me one thing that you feel grateful for right now.
That's really easy, because I was actually thinking about it as I was driving here this morning.
Okay, yeah. What is it?
It's going to sound really cheesy. Just go with me on it. I can explain.
Brace yourself, everyone.
I'm really grateful for my husband.
Okay.
Do I need to explain?
Yes, you do. Of course you do.
Because you won't hear me saying that often. If he's listening to this, he's going to literally fall off his chair.
It is recorded.
We had a bit of sad news yesterday. I haven't told you this, actually. There's going to be quite a lot of this where I'm like, I forgot to tell you this. Yeah. Somebody we know passed away on Thursday. She was 55. She had leukemia. And we didn't even know that she was that ill. It happened very, very quickly. Yeah. And we didn't know her well. We kind of knew her in passing through people, but terribly sad. Yeah. And it's her funeral today. And as I was driving here, I was thinking about her. And I was just thinking how grateful I am that the journey we've been through. I felt really tearful as I was driving here today. Like I cried about 3 times, which is very unlike
me. Yeah. I was just going to say.
I just felt really tearful. I don't know whether it was because of the shock of hearing this news yesterday, and it just, you know. Yeah. But then it just made me think, I'm so grateful that that Pete has come through the cancer treatment and that he's, doing well. It's a journey. It's not, we're not there yet. But even just last night, he said to me, feels like he can taste again and he's starting to enjoy food again.
Which is huge for you guys.
Which is massive because, obviously, for those of you who don't know, his cancer was in the throat and tongue. So, it couldn't eat, basically. Awful, so I feel grateful for him. That's it, full stop. And everything else that goes around that, but
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Is that okay?
I
mean, there's a lot more in that.
Well, I think that's the thing.
We'll unpack that another episode.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. Okay.
What about you?
Well, I feel like anything I say now is going to...
I went deep.
Yeah, okay.
You were expecting me to say like the sunshine.
Yeah.
Daisies.
Yeah. Okay,
Sorry.
right.
Normally that is what I would do, but I just really... honestly, genuinely was thinking about it this morning.
I'm not surprised, and that's really good, but I don't think there is anything I can possibly follow up on, apart from the fact, so as we sit here today, I am currently looking at my Christmas tree.
Yeah. If you could see
Christmas was months ago, but the one thing my girl asked for her 3rd birthday was the Christmas tree. So... obviously I obliged because I also love the Christmas tree and it's the one thing she wanted. And I think for me, it is just the autonomy to within reason, do what I want.
Yeah.
Because that's great. You could put up a Christmas tree in March.
Too right. And you said to me last Thursday, the Christmas tree's going down, and I've arrived here today and the Christmas tree's still up. Up to you. I said you'll probably be up till Christmas.
Probably. It'll never come down. But I think, I genuinely think, and again, this is a whole other episode, but knowing the power of your own autonomy and your own decision is priceless.
And not being apologetic for that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's episode.
Right, let's stop.
Why do we keep apologising? But that's an example. So we all have conversations, or we might have conversations with other people, and we'll bring it to the pod. Yeah. And it might be things like the title might be, why do we always feel like we need to apologise for our decisions?
Yeah.
And then what we'll do, that will be the title, and then we'll talk through that topic. So
we'll
just
pick it apart, and who knows
where we'll go.
Right, I'm stopping it there.
All right. That's it. Exciting.
Episode 1 done.
Episode 1 done.
You've been listening to Between Us, brought to you by Jen and Alexis, founders of Her Tribe, a community for capable women who know the juggle is real and don't want to do it alone.
If something in this conversation's resonated, follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one, or send it to a friend who might like to listen.
And if you've got a question you'd love us to explore, send it in to hello@hertribe.co.uk.
Until next time,
this was Between Us.